How did the other guy react?
He was like, "Ay-ya!" And he was saying like "Chani Ma," which means "f your mother" in Chinese. Chani Ma, you know, he was saying. So yeah, and cigarette smoking everywhere, and I'm just sitting there like, holy.
What's the craziest game you've ever been involved in?
I've been in some insane games. Insane.
Have you got time?
Oh yeah.
Are we talking in terms of like money in hands, or are we talking in terms of who's at the table
Experiences,
with you?
whatever. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you guys. I've told this story before, but I think that this story paints how crazy. So you're talking about a dude. I played internet poker. I go to Vegas with my buddies, and then a good friend of mine says, "Hey, you have to come to Macau, which is this little island off the coast of Hong Kong." And he's like, "This is like the Vegas boom times 1,000. You have to come here. The games are softer and they're way bigger than American games."
When you say softer, do you mean the people playing aren't as skilled?
Aren't as skilled,
Right.
and the stakes are higher. So your hourly rate is astronomical,
Right.
right? So I go to this game. I'm not very good at the time. I'm good enough to win in the game, and the game's very, very big for me. But I'm playing with a fellow who says, "Hey, there's a game in Manila right now in the Philippines that is the softest game you ever play in, and it's huge." He says, "Do you want to come play?" And the guy was a trustworthy guy. I asked a couple other people. They said, yeah, you can trust him. So I get on this plane. I've never been in the Philippines. I fly to the Philippines with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. We get picked up in an armored car, and we're driving down the street, and there's like, just the streets are just ridden with homeless people. It looks crazy. We pull into this mega casino. And a guy comes out and he asks for our passports, takes our passports, run all our stuff through a scanner, and then they're like, your name is under Mr. Yang. So I check in as Mr. Yang into this casino I've never been with armed guards, and I'm just like, what is happening right now? And I get a text on my WhatsApp, and it says, at midnight or so, the boss will text you when he's ready to play. And I'm just like, all right, I guess. I just play poker. I didn't, just tell me. So I wait around. It's like 2 a.m, and I get a text. And I'm told that this game is going to be a certain stake that was already 5 times too big for me to be playing. So I texted a couple of my buddies that had more money than me at the time, and I said, hey, you have this % of me in the game, whatever. And so I end up, and I'm still taking a shot at the game. So I'm told that the game is going to be really, really good.
Are we allowed to know the stake, or is that not something you want to
Yeah, well, I can tell you roughly the stakes were supposed to be, they were supposed to be 5,000, 10,000 Hong Kong. So it was supposed to be like a 600, 1,200 game.
Yeah.
US. So minimum buy-ins like 120,000 US per chips. And now this is about 10 years ago. And I'm told this game's going to be soft. And I walk in and I sit down, and the first person I see sitting at the table is Phil Ivey. And I'm not who I am today.
Had you met Phil?
Yeah, I knew him,
right.
but still, I was told this is going to be a wicked soft game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 2 dealers sitting side by side, which is very weird. So they don't have shuffle machines. They just have 2 dealers, one shuffling, and they want the cards as fast as they can. So in come the bosses, the VIPs, which you would call the losing Asian players who they were down partying. They're all smoking. The room's filled with smoke. There's women everywhere. Very weird experience. 2 dealers whipping out cards, and they bring out the chips and they hand me the chips, and the chips don't have numbers on them. And I'm like, all right, hey, what do these chips mean? And they tell me the numbers, and I'm like, oh, we're playing, why do we have so many chips in front of us? I thought we were playing 5,000, 10,000. And they're like, no, we're playing 20,000, 40,000. So we're actually playing about a $5,000 big blind, minimum buying $500,000. And so I can't text my buddies in time. I end up having a piece way too big on myself. Okay, way, way too big on myself. Fast forward a few hours later, I'm running hot. I have all these chips in front of me. And this VIP character, who I won't name, but he's very animated. He's smoking 3 cigarettes at once. He's screaming at the boards. But we end up in a situation where the game has 4x'd in size from what it started at, because he wants the stakes to be bigger because he's down money. And when they want to keep pressing their bets when they get stuck money, and you're just kind of at their will, you have to play whatever they want because the game is formed around them. So not only am I in a game that started 4 times too big for me, now it's even bigger. And I have all these chips in front of me. I'm kind of I'm shitting myself. I'm like, this is the most degenerate situation in my whole life. And I'm dealt 2 kings. Okay. And I end up like me and this other guy end up getting all in on a board of 10-8-7, and he ends up having 10-8. And so I'm all in for like an ungodly amount of money for me at the time. And in America and other places, sometimes what you'll do is you'll run the board out 2 times. And what that does is it reduces the variance a little bit. So say you and I are 50-50. If we run it out once, one of us is going to scoop the pot. But if we run it out twice, usually we'll chop the pot.
What does that mean, running it out?
So say you and I get all in on the flop.
Yeah.
Sometimes the dealer will run the turn and the river 2 times. And then you'll split the pot or you'll scoop the pot. But say you win the first run out, I win the second run out.
Right.
We'll chop it.
Okay.
So it just reduces the swings of the game a little bit.
Okay, got you.
Asia, they don't do that. They want high swings, right?
Right.
So, but what they do is they sell insurance. So this guy gets all in against me and he's in front and he's over here paying a VIG. What this means is if I suck out on him, he'll get the house will pay him some of the money back. So he's buying insurance. And I'm sitting there telling myself like, all right, man, like I'm about 20% to win this hand. And I'm telling myself, you got to be like a man about this. You got to tap the table. You got to just get up and walk away. Like I'm spinning, I'm going to lose this pot that's worth some ungodly number into the millions. And, yeah, and I'm like, I'm a pretty low stakes player at this point in my life, and I degened off a big piece of my bankroll, and I end up like getting to the last card to the river, and who's now my good friend Paul Fua, who's like the most legendary Asian gambler of all time, has won billions gambling. He looks at me, I don't know him very well at the time, and he says, "Do you want to sweat the river card?" And what that means is the dealer throws me the card rather than just turns it over, and I get to look at my fate in slow motion. So, bro, you want to talk about the most degenerate shit ever. So this is the first time, like I've never done crack or heroin, but I kind of imagine this is what it's like right before you rip that needle into your veins, Because I'm like spinning and I'm like, all right, I'm about to lose like the biggest pot I've ever played times 10. And I have to go back and tell Bianca that like this happened, and she's going to say like, what the, And so he says, "Do you want to sweat the river card?" And I go, "Yes." Yes, I do. And I'm spinning. And Ivy hasn't said a damn word for 4 hours. He takes off his headphones. He's like looking at my face. Everybody there wants to see the pain or the joy that's about to happen, right? So the dealer throws me the river card, and I start to sweat it. And they're like, "You're not sweating it right," because they play Baccarat. And, they sweat cards really specifically. And I'm like, with all due respect, I'm going to look at this card the way I want to look at it.
Yeah.
And I end up sucking out for like an enormous pot. And that's how lucky I am. That's like,
But you hit a king.
I actually ended up backdooring a flush. So there were 2 diamonds on the flop. And I had king of diamonds, king, and it went diamond, diamond.
Oh.
Yeah. And I sucked out for some, and I'm like just like sitting there like, oh my God.
What was the pot?
What just happened? It was huge, man. I can't remember the amount, but it was, for me at the time, it was
Millions.
Yeah, it was probably like 8 times bigger than any pot. I played bigger pots since, but at that time, it was a life-changing experience. I mean, I would have been fine if I lost the pot, but it would have definitely been a drop stakes type situation and rebuild.
How did the other guy react?
He was like, "Ay-ya!" And he was saying like, "Chani ma," which means fuck your mother in Chinese. Chani ma, he was saying. So, yeah, and cigarette smoke and everywhere. And I'm just sitting there like, holy shit,
Wow.
But yeah, there's a crazy gambling story.
It sounds like a movie.
Bro, I mean, it happened. The middle of Manila, the Philippines, just like I'd never been there. Start playing 2 a.m. We played 30-hour sessions. It was crazy.